Well, welcome everyone. For anyone that's never been here, and I don't see anyone. Maybe there's someone here that's not been here. This is the See the Art Meet the Artisan series. It is a partnership between the Berea Arts Council here in Berea in Old Town and the library, and this has been going on about 3.5 years. And it seems to be growing and growing, and very artists supporting artists and community supporting community. So today we have the honor of Miss Pearls and Hiking Boots herself, Marty Wayland.
It is the Sabbath, and I had my pearls on, and I had my hiking boots, and I was up at darkness, and watched the sun not come up, as it was raining at the sunrise this morning, and there, but we would have watched a little bit, and then my 3 dogs and I would have taken off to an area in Berea to look for the light. And Cameron, I'm going to give a presentation about, in 2014, I retired from Berea College and took up photography, and this is my first, I want to say, professional good camera. I've had this, smaller ones and different things, and didn't have the function, and so I've taken this and taken on the spirit of looking for things. And I wanted to share something. One of the things is, when I do get up early in the morning and stuff, I really have gone into getting to know Wendell Berry, reading his books, and then the opportunity to meet him at the Kentucky Author Fair, and get to talk to him about it, and telling him about how I wear my pearls, my boots, and go out and sit, and he's not really a big person for photography. He wants you to just go out there and put it in your mind and think about it, and then be able to let it go. He's really particular about that. So I want to read just a little something that would be for today. What's up there? Some Sunday afternoon, it may be, you're sitting under your porch roof, looking down through the trees, in the river, watching the rain. The circles made the raindrops striking, expand, intersect, dissolve. And suddenly, for you are getting on now, and much of your life is a memory, the hands of the dead who have been there with you rest upon you tenderly, as the rain rests shining upon the leaves. And you think then, for the thought will come, of all the strangeness of all the thought of heaven, for now you have imagined yourself there, remembering with longing this happiness, this rain. Sometimes here we are there, and there is no death. So at this time, I'm going to ask my son Nathan to, let me turn the lights here, and talk a little bit. And afterwards, I have photos here to look at. One of the things, this is my book from when we went to the Sisters of Loretto for the contemplative writing class. It was a great trip, but when I came back later, I dropped my Ace laptop notebook on a wood floor and hadn't backed anything up, and killed a lot of photos.
Is it okay to ask a question?
Sure.
You know about what year she wrote that?
No, I don't.
I just wonder if she would say the same thing today. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. And so, in this book,
What year was this when you got back from the letter?
it would have been 2015. And so the photos are in here. And luckily, I had kept a photo journal more than I was doing my writing. So maybe there was a reason that when the notebook hit the wood floor, it was up there. So let me put this down a little. That's good.
There you go.
Okay. Earth's crammed with heaven and every common bush afire with God, by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Yeah. Thanks.
Marty, could you turn these down more, please? There.
Yeah.
Because the ones right there are the ones that are... No, turn them both all down.
Hold on.
Yeah. And the other one too.
This.
No. Those are the good ones. they're really washing it out.
Yeah.
Switch to that one.
Okay.
Alright, that got it.
Yeah, there's enough light here. So the brightness, I wanted to show you this, that Libby and I had arrived at Barren Lake State Park Friday, just as the sun was really getting to set. And the gold of the sun reflecting on the grass. And seeing it on fire was just an awesome. And so, next, in solitude, we discover our life is not a possessive to be defended, but a gift to be shared. And I want to show, is that actually what her true photograph was, is I was down by the riverbank already, and just the beautiful of the water and the shadows developing. And it's one of the things that, being a nature photographer, contemplative, you take off and you just don't talk. Just go look for the light, go for on here. So I wanted to show this to start off, give you an idea of what was going on. So I retired from being a bookstore manager for 22 years for 3 different colleges to become a student. So notice how clean that camera is and everything. I had just bought the camera 2 weeks before we left on this trip. Mom enters nature, camera and pen with her, expresses her beauty. Nathan puts, this is my son right here in front, and that's what he wrote for me for Mother's Day. That was in my Mother's Day card. Okay. And here I am, working in the back of the van. Got my camera, got my journal, computer. There's that beautiful little laptop notebook. So photographs of sunrise and sunsets, learning how to do landscapes, looking for the light, looking for shade, just learning how to use a digital camera of this type. That's one of my photos. This is Bryce Canyon with the sun reflection on it. There. Go ahead.
How many of that one did you take?
Well, I came home with 2,000 or 3,000 photos. And it was just a beautiful evening of this. Okay. And I had the opportunity to take a mule ride down to the bottom of the canyon, and I'm photographing, that's the ear of my donkey, and my mule saying that, if I gave him permission to eat, I could photograph. So we stopped, photograph, stop, photograph. Now, here's a picture where we have gone to the arch and catching the sun coming through the arch. And I'm running to catch up with the students and everybody gets set up. And the next photo I have, is a triple exposure taken by mistake because I pushed too many buttons. And it's actually, it's above the arch, through the arch, and up there. And accidents are okay. If you're going to want to get a good camera and things happen, this is what happens. And then, again, we were out at the arches, and I cropped the sunlight. These are just stone, and they're not tough. And so I cropped it so they could light and show the light inside there. And I love the little guy here in the corner. Up there. So. And this is at Zion, and one of the things that out west at the national parks they're having is that too many people feed them. And then they aggressively come and beg.
It's called Zion?
Zion National Park.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, now, we have left the national parks. It's now a year later, and I'm at the Sisters of Loretto, early in the morning. This is a time that I did not go with the class. I went in December and caught a ride with one of the members and photographed. And so you have to understand, it's about 32 degrees when I'm taking this photo. And it's over by the cemetery if you've been up there. And again, I wanted to show the light and the gold, of seeing the spirit. And then you have there's the reflection of the pond right down there at the bottom.
Where'd you say that was, Marty? Where's it at?
Sisters of the Red Oak Mother House in Neenah, Kentucky.
Are all these photos just as you took them, or have you manipulated them at all?
I
on the
just-
computer
I
outside
just
of cropping?
brightened them. I did not put them in Photoshop to do any major adjustments or anything. You look for the shade, look for edges, you know, bring out the light of it. And this is later in the sunrise on the other side, on the farm side, on the back side of the farm. The Sisters of the Red have a cattle farm where they have grass-fed cattle, or organic vegetables, and things like that on the light. A lot more photos are right in here if you'd like to take the time to look at this. These are, okay. So a year later, we head out to Arizona from a week after, it was Memorial Day weekend, I believe. We took off for Tucson. And we were at the Redemption Center, a Catholic retreat center outside Tucson. And this was outside my bedroom when out in the park, across the parking lot that evening, the first night we were there.
Arizona, you said?
Yeah. Every morning I would get up and do sunrise photographing, and then I would come and sit on the deck and write my thoughts. One of the things at the time, in 2014 and 2015, I decided that maybe it was time to leave the brick and mortar church, and I'm looking for a new church. And I tell a lot of people about Oh God, and George Burns telling John Denver, you know, George Burns being God, and then, you know, John Denver is kind of lost. He says, you know, I never asked you to have a religion. I just asked you to have faith in me. And so when I think about that, and I think about looking for the light, and looking for the good every day. I'll sit there. And this is a sunrise, okay? And the one thing about this sunrise is my camera battery died. And I'm out at the outside sanctuary, and I remember I had my cell phone. So this is the first photo that I've used on my cell phone. That I actually used. Go sit there, so. And that was in every day, birds were up in the tall cactuses. This is a mourning dove, you know, and I have so many around in my house here in Berea too. So our last day, this is the sun rising at the outdoor sanctuary. And taking a sunrise and just kind of contemplating, you know, and getting ready to leave, which is an awesome trip, just you know, to get into the. Now, back to where the first opening ones where the grass is so gold. I'm heading down to the river, waiting to see if I can get the sunset, and this is the sunset that I was able to catch. And you'll see the reflection of the grass there on the photo. And we were there to go after the sandhill crane. And we were kind of following a group, trying to know where the flocks were, and then Libby and I said, oh, let's go, there they are. We took off and they come, you know, found them. And this is in the bright light.
What kind of cranes?
Sandhill crane?
Hill.
Yeah, sandhill. Yeah. And they're migrating through Kentucky. And I love the pattern of 3 up and 2 down. You know, caught that. All you can do when you're a nature photographer is just go out and shoot. Let the birds move and try to make sure your camera is full, and just try to get as close and shoot. Just, now this is this year, and catching them, same camera, everything, but catching them flying over. We were in a cornfield,
Beautiful.
flocks of them. Just again, the luck, because I have about 400 photos, and to be able to take these out of the photo, you know, I'm very, very happy. Then later, when you turn around, behind us, behind the cornfield, was a deserted house, and was able to catch the sunset, the sun star coming through the doorway of this deserted little house. I was able to go spend a week in Asheville and caught the sunrise through here. And sometimes the clouds, when you're looking at the sunset and things, I don't know if you can see it, I see a horse.
A what?
A horse. And if you can look for his eye, the very top lip is his mane. You see the little opening for his eye.
Oh, I
And
see
then
it now, Marty. It's almost like the bridle around his nose.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and the bridle and his nose
Yeah,
there.
I see that now.
So that was my moment of the spirit talking, because I love horses. All right. Now the photo out there in the library, we went up to Pine Mountain for their photography weekend, and Saturday morning we were fogged in. I mean, deep, deep fog. And then it wasn't until lunchtime that it started to break up, and that we were getting to do something. So we were getting to go to get lunch, and this is outside the Pine Mountain State Park Lodge, and I found a rocking chair. And I moved that rocking chair all the different ways, and the photo in the main room, which is also this one right here, that was up there. I photographed through the legs of the rocking chair by putting it on the wall. And it was just so nice to show. Okay. And then as we walked through trails, again, I just thought this was some kind of creature. You know, the leaf with the eyes and the little nose. And I just love the color when I increase the color and increase the light one way. Okay. And then, I don't know if you can see it well in this one, but again, I saw a horse in this piece of ice. And if you look above the fern, that's the mane. And then if you go over to the, you right a little bit, you see an eye. And then there's a nose on the bottom. Okay, now, deep in the roots, all flowers keep the light. And I want to show you some photographs of flowers around my house and on some of the couple of trips. This is a poppy that was on the road outside Asheville. You know, my friend Dorothy was driving and said, "Dorothy, pull over!" And was able to, this is just one shot that turned out. Okay. This is a rose in my yard. I have about 12 to 18 different rose bushes. And being retired, for the first time, I could spend the time to go out there and see the dew on the petals. You know, I knew that I was starting to enjoy retirement because of this. This is an iris on one side of the house. It did not survive this year. It never came up. What's up there? These are tulips that I did turn into a watercolor filter in Photoshop outside BC&T a couple years ago. They were just a little blurry. I think I used my cell phone, and so I went in and made it better. Again, this is BC&T, the little cement thing outside the back door, and I just liked it. It's a little bit out of focus, but I just love the colors of it. These are the tulip tree bulbs from my front yard, and I just took the photo up through the tree and then took out the sky, made it white, and brought just the color. And again, this is just the basic using the programs that are just in your computer. This is not a Photoshop elements or anything. This is my one and only tulip in my front yard, and I caught it with the light. The sun sets right through my front door, and so this is how it looks when from a side view, and then the next picture is looking inside. I'm catching the light inside. This is the side view of the crab, I think it's a crab apple tree on the side of my house. And then the next photo is catching, standing enough quiet to catch the people who live in this tree. And it's in standing there for a little bit and just listening to the hum. And they're there for a day or two and then they're gone. But just the quiet of it.
Might be
Now, one of the other places that I go to, and I recommend that you should go in the morning, get up to go, get a coffee on your way, because there's just nothing open in the Battlefield Memorial Park. And go up and walk the pond, go sit, there's an outdoor stage on the barn, and sit there and just look at the pond, look across. Because if you sit there and you really look, you can see the hills and see Berea down over that way. And so this is one of our going up the Battlefield. Now this one is the only one that's from not in Berea. We, the Rotary Club, went to New York last summer, and we had a walk through New York Central Park, and I was able to get hear all this nature in the middle of New York City, and I just loved it, the photo. All creation teaches us some way of prayer. Thomas Merton. So, this is my dog Lance. At this picture, I had just taken the Band-Aid off where he had his second eye taken out, and gave him the freedom to go run in the hayfield down by the Friendship House. So talk about, I consider that a little bit of holy property there. He just loves to run. He feels comfortable running down in that hayfield. And so I took the Band-Aid off, and he just took off. And he listens to my voice, and he'll stay in a range and stuff. He lost his eyes due to thunder and fireworks. He was really terrified of it.
He's lost both?
Yes, so he's here, he's totally blind and running. So he gives me a lot of faith that, some days maybe I feel a little lazy and then I think about Lance. And this is Kate. She's a show dog that was supposed to be a show dog, who isn't, and she has a lot of frustrations. She doesn't have much herding instinct, and she wants to be adored all the time. And so she's right next to me because I'm taking photos of the princess, Nathan, Annie, and like, when are we gonna go for a walk? That was, and then Annie just being so cool. Oh, you taking my picture? Okay. Does that do this? Okay, go ahead.
Oh.
And this, I went to the Berea Urban Farm for sunrise. It was July 3rd, and she wasn't happy that I was there. Can you tell? I just wanted to take a picture. Cheyenne and Richard ended up adapting her out because she needed to go. She wasn't getting along with the other residents. Okay. This is the mourning dove that was watching me take all the photos and different things. Like, what are you doing? And I looked up and saw her there. So.
Look at the light in the eyeball.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Oh.
This is out my front door. When early spring there, the rabbits are everywhere. I don't know if you have rabbits in your neighborhood, but we have them everywhere. They're abundant this year, and so I caught it before the weeds got up.
I think we have too many coyotes our way to have rabbits. Was that Mary Starksman?
This is at Mary Startsman's koi pond, and I swear she has this big guy trained. You go by there and he comes out like, okay, where's my treat? And so this is from a couple years ago, but it's one of my favorite photos of saying, wow, you know, oh, I caught, you know. This is up in Brushy Fort. If you go up there about 8 o'clock, 8:30, the sun doesn't come in to the top of, through the trees until about 8:39. The bells of the Methodist Church are about chiming when we're up there. And this is Kate in the light there. And then later as we're coming down, the water, you know, the light still is shade, and we're just watching the water. Lots of water up there.
Is that an official creek, or is that just?
That's just water
Just
that
water
runs
just-
down the path that goes down to Silver Creek.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you don't go on that trail if it's rain, 'cause you're gonna, unless you have a really good boots.
Yeah.
This is a zinnia crop, and this is on the gravel road down from the Friendship House. Suna Fredrickson owns this property now, but there was a young couple that had a little garden going, and there's a little garden cabbage house there. And I caught it as we were walking the dogs, and way over there by the hay things is Holly Troyer trying to get all our dogs up on the top of the hay bales. That's it there. Now this is the sunrise. Not this year, but a year ago when we had all that snow, and that's out my back door. George Wyatt lives. That's his tree. And I loved it. I caught the light of the morning coming through there. And then later, the dogs and I went to Brushy Fork and did a walk. And again, here's Lance, totally blind, has no problem. He knows how many steps to go up the bridge, goes across the bridge, goes off. You know, he used to go through the water, but now I'll just count it out. All right. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. So William Shakespeare, and Libby should recognize this photo.
Oh.
This
Wow.
is at Libby's. She collects stones, and these are on her patio. And there. Okay. And then where trees speak and where you can find the color and the light is between 11 o'clock in the morning till about 1:30, 2 o'clock. This is Indian Fort. When the trees are full bloom, and it takes that long for the sun to get over and kind of come through into the woods a little bit. And this was last fall. That's it there. The dogs and I go over to the grocery store, the Moore's Grocery, get a cheeseburger and fries to go. And we sit at the picnic table.
Just picture as you're walking. This is walking into the park, right?
Yeah.
With the,
You're walking back.
you're walking back, okay, so
See
you're
the
walking
little
towards the
ticket booth?
parking lot now.
Yeah.
Is that the amphitheater on the other side?
Is the amphitheater behind us?
No,
Yeah.
these are the cars, the parking lot cars.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
over
yes.
there, you'll see the little ticket booth. We're
okay.
just coming around the,
That curve. We were just trying to place where we were in the park.
yeah.
If you didn't know it, it looks like water at the back.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah, but sometimes in those mornings, those hills will stay covered in fog,
yeah.
you know, because it takes so long for everything to burn off.
This is Silver Creek. The first year the trail was open. You know, now they poured all that sand down there off the, and stuff there. So before, the flowers were growing along there, and we'd like to go down there and get a drink and get our feet wet, hang out there. So, again, Libby and Roger should catch this. Well, this is in their backyard. I take it from the railroad, sitting on the steps. Outside there. Okay. This is June Fish's back porch. The sun in the morning.
It seems like you like morning sun a lot better than evening sun, is that true?
Yes, 'cause
Sunrise
it's
versus-
cooler.
Oh, cooler, okay.
And it's more, I find it more, there's more to see, more testing, challenging, looking to look for it. At night, it's kind of tired, I'm tired, the sun's tired, unless there's really a good sunset, which I have a couple coming up. Okay, Nate? There. If you don't know where this is, there's, the new path from the community theater, the forestry, the new sidewalk to go to Indian Fort. As you're going on your, it'll be on your right is a bridge where the water runs under it. And this was on Easter a couple years ago. Sue Garza and I walked Easter morning, and I just love this photo of the water. Okay, this is Ruth and Becky Covel's hayfield. We were walking the dogs, and was taken with my cell phone, so it was a little fuzzy. So I did take this into Photoshop and make it into a pastel to show how the sun is reflecting on her front porch. The next photo is, I took the photo, my camera, they live on the hill, way up in the big hill. So the sunsets are beautiful from her front porch. And this is where I feel that Berea's on fire, you know, and then I catch this. It was about 2 years ago. But it's one of those things where I called her up and said, I'm coming over. I'm going to be sitting on your porch. You don't need to come out. You know. Now this is an older one, but this is on Scaffold Cane and Brancher that you see the farm. And 2 years ago, it was really, really pretty. Really, the colors are beautiful. So I just took it, left it, and then went in, and the next photo is what I found. Is cropped it to a small and put it into a watercolor print. And then the frame is made out of an old pickle barrel thing, that huge one. I was taking the class through the Westerfield class, and we made the frame and sold it at the Berea Arts Council, Stepping Out for the Arts.
I remember that.
And I have the actual photo here. This is when I was waiting for the sun to rise at the Sisters of Loretto house. And I love the texture of all the weeds and, you know, the cat. So I did take this into Photoshop and play with it during the Westerfield class. And the next photo is what I was able to get out of it. By taking it into a neon filter.
Is that the same thing you do with the pig?
Yes.
I love that pig.
Yeah,
The pig is great.
Yeah.
Somebody
And
once
so I
said
have it right up
pig.
here, you know, and so it turned out really, really well. That's okay. And I can give you a print of the pig. I can make some prints. Okay. And questions, and then if it wasn't raining, we would have been outside. We had the deck all ready to go. Flowers, everything, but the bald cypress tree right now is just dropping twigs and leaves, and it's all wet. So, questions? Anything?
What were your hobbies before you retired? I mean, you took some of these photos before you retired, but
A
were
few.
you into that kind of thing before you retired?
A little bit, but not. I was more trying to do watercolor and just finding myself, you know, managing the college bookstore for a while there and adjusting to moving to Berea and trying to find, okay, am I going to retire or not retire? What am I going to do? I am a certified K-12 art teacher, but I left teaching in '86 when I was laid off because of the first auto recession in Michigan. So I went into auxiliary services of working in hospitals and colleges, running the bookstores, food services, and all that. And then Nathan came along, and you know, busy with him and scouting and you know, arts and stuff. And just kind of there. But one of the things that when I was working for the auxiliaries, and I would get transferred every 9 to 12 months to a different hospital to do project work, I always found a church, and I always found a co-ed softball or you know something. But I also went to community ed classes. So I did take a lot of classes on photography, learning black and white, and to develop. But it just seems takes so long to develop pictures, and you know, I didn't have that much time. You know, just was restless with it. And so then when digital came along, we had some little pictures and started playing with it a little bit. And maybe one of the best classes that I took through the community college was just on composition, helping the common person learn how to set up a photo, whether it was with people or, you know, looking for light and thing. That was a wonderful class. But, you know, we didn't have photographs. We had to do it in slides. And then show, and you had to come with your 10 best slides. So again, it was a little expensive of finding out what, did it work? Yes?
When you were in Utah, did you go into St. George, the
No.
town?
No, No, we just, we went to Zion National Park.
It's only about 40 miles from there.
I know, but we went to Bryce, and then we went to Moab, to the Arches National Park. That's up there.
Cool.
So
Yes.
what, could you say a little more about how your writing has interwoven with the work in photography? Would you call yourself a contemplative writer, and how do the two relate?
I
Wow.
would say I am. And a lot of times the photographer either the photo gives me the idea or gets me started as where I am for the writing. I do have several pieces that I wrote about learning about walking through Brushy Fort and finding the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, and you know, because if you know God, you also know that God spelled backwards is dog. You know, it's I didn't bring them in a little bit and stuff, and I have some very good stories about when we were in Zion and the seeds were falling, and learning, bringing that in together, how nature and the light and the seeds and the animals and bringing it in. Yes. With that, I mean, I find I'm saying, I being a contemplative writer now and photographer is that I can easily write in the silence. I can get motivated to go out and see things and then just not have a TV on, not have radio, not have to be around anybody, and just put things around me and then go for it.
What can you say more about if you were in that moment of stillness and in nature? What makes the difference whether the image calls you primarily or the words? Does one come first?
I've had the words come first, but I went there. There was a time where I sat. You can go around. It's called Lake Mary's there at the Sisters of the Loretto House, and I was really trying to think about Mary and questions, and I thought her conversations came to me while I was walking there with the camera more and sat down and could write it out. And then other times photos speak and come back, you know, tell the story. I have some photos of, you look at it's in here, if you look here you'll see the way that the twigs are blended. It looks like someone's playing a flute and different things. And my problem is I need to keep a pad of paper with me and write these ideas down, because when I later go back, the feeling's gone and I've lost it. And it's so hard to pull it back.
So, what about Lighthouse?
The lighthouse. Okay. What Carol's bringing up is I'm going to try another venture starting in September. I just went up to Michigan for lighthouse keeper training. And I'm going to help manage keeping a lighthouse for a week. And we get and so I'll be with 5 other volunteers, and we run it and go up and polish the lights and come down and sand, and
There's a little dormitory isn't there?
Yeah, and you get to stay either on the grounds or you get to stay in the state park things. You know, it's going to be awesome to do that. I'm originally from Michigan, and so where I'm going to be in Silver Lake is only 20 miles north of in Pentwater where I was. Well, growing up, we had a cottage. Now the cottage, Lake Michigan has claimed that, taken the cottage away. The lakefront has changed, but to go back.
Now, did you do that gig to get when I saw you post that on Facebook, she's going for the picture she's going to be able to take at the lighthouse.
Yes, because you know the lighthouse doesn't open till 10.
Yeah.
We don't have to be there till 9:30.
Yeah, that's what I figured you'd be there.
And it
taking
closes
pictures.
at 5.
Yeah, perfect.
And
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
my Lisa Quinn, she's, you know, her parents live here in town. She's going to do it for the first time, but it's her friend Larry Schultz, who's been doing it for 4 years. I got talking to him, and he said, "You're just going to love it." You know, I'm probably one of the younger volunteers, and 90% of the volunteers go back and do this because they just want to go up there and sit and see and be along the lake. And we had CBR, and we just had a wreck. You know, the week we were there, they had a boat wreck up, and you have to help, you know, bring that stuff in. So there's a good stories and things to do. Yes.
I have 3 quick questions.
Uh-huh.
One is when is the lighthouse keeper, when are you doing that?
I'm going to do that in September.
Okay. And what is your next exhibit? What and where, when is your next exhibit?
I have a photograph right now up at a gallery on Main, which is about horses. That closes June 6th, but I will have some of the photos of the bees, a couple of the bees I have, and then the bees out here. The next one is on, it's gonna be on beekeeping and, you know, flowers and stuff. And that opens, I think, June 7th. I'll have a couple photos in that
So
one.
you have a horse exhibit right now on Main?
Yes.
Okay, that answers my third question. And bees will be on gallery on Main too?
Yes.
Okay. And that will be the next day, okay.
Yes.
Did you say you were from Michigan?
Yes, I grew up in Grosse Pointe Woods.
When I was on the computer the other day, I saw a listing of the most beautiful states, and Michigan was in the top 10. That surprised me. They rated it as the most beautiful state east of the Mississippi. Is that true?
I would
Is Michigan
say
that attractive?
along the lakes and the lakes, you know, the Great Lakes, and then there, this town, the state for years, 20, 30 years, has tourism is the #1 thing besides deer hunting. But they spent a lot of money fixing the pier, and they had recycling, you know, they've had the 5 cents, 10 cents for pop bottles and glass for years to get it off the roads. It's very rare that you see, and
They-
bike trails.
They've
Very
preserved over 23% of the land up there. It's in
Yes.
preservation, and they're still trying to do more like that.
How many lakes, what is the figure, I used to know that, how many lakes in Michigan, do you know?
I don't know how many small lakes, but the Great Lakes are 7.
Yeah, there's 7, but there's, I think, isn't it the state with the most lakes?
Could be.
No,
No, which
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe what I'm-
And another thing that's helped them is they've lost population over the last, I don't know how many, 20 or 30 years. So that helps the environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you mentioned that this was your first real camera or whatever. What would you recommend that when you're looking at cameras? Or
If someone's gonna buy a camera today.
do you have multiple lenses? Do you
This is the telescope one, and I use it most of the time, and I do have the basic. I would go up to the camera shops and ask them, talk to them,
And so digital cameras.
you know, and contact, you know, the photography instructors at the college or, you know, there, and get to know, and talk to myself about it.
Right.
But aren't you amazed how good our cell phones are?
Yes, you know, but
I mean, and it's always just kind of stuck in your pocket. I very seldom use my camera anymore. And you've seen my flower pictures, so,
Yes.
you know.
But if you want to go beyond and, you know, for the ones who really want a photograph and not a piece of artistic photograph, and Alan Mills gives me a hard time because I kind of tend to go more on the artistic side and bring the, you know, make it into a painting or, you know, something like that, change it not to make a true photograph. He says, "You're never going to come back, are you?" I'm like, "Probably not." And I think it's just the artistic side of me of wanting to save a photo that's a little blurry, and I have to live with it. I mean, I have a fused back, bad knees. I'm going to shake. My camera's going to shake, you know, and I need to fix it up. And how do I do it? And
Do they have moose in Michigan?
do they have what?
Moose.
Way up in the Upper Peninsula.
Maybe you can get some shots of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go take the elk, pictures of the elk here.
Well, Linda Coleman did a great job. She took she was inspired by your bowl. You've taken a photograph of a bowl of pears, I think.
Yes, yes,
And, oh, she made just a beautiful, I think it was acrylic painting of that.
yes.
'Cause that was just such a beautiful picture.
That was at,
It's a
I
beautiful
had
picture.
gone up early and went to the farmer's market here
That's what it was.
and took photos that morning, Saturday morning, and just went
I've
from
never
red
seen the
and red.
photograph. That
Yeah.
had to be nice.
Have you been up to the pinnacle at sunrise and taken photos from there?
I have gone when I was working for the college, but it's hard for me to get up to the pinnacles in the dark with my back and things, and I would rather do sunsets and learning my limitation. Or finding the trail a long way to go around and different things. That's what they're on it, but
Marty, do you do your own printing?
I'm starting to, but a lot of I send over to Walgreens, and I watch for coupons. And if you order enough, then they send you coupons on email that isn't published, you know, and that is where right here, this is a campus, one of the,
Is that one of Cheyenne's chickens?
what, yes, yeah, it's the one in the showcase,
He
yes.
has one in our house.
Yes.
In the family. I mean,
Now, this one is one that they, Walgreens had done. But I had bought a new Canon, and I just need printer, professional Canon, and I need to practice more and get up, again, go up to the Photoshop in Lexington and talk to them and print. Get to learn my printer.
we also have a photo club here in Berea that, I think that, you know,
Is
you
there
can
still,
learn from. You can learn from
is there
those
still an active
books.
photo club? There used to be.
Is it not active
Here in the
anymore?
library.
Not in the library.
In the library.
There's John, he's taking a break.
Well, this
yeah.
is Benji, and I wrote a great, I would say a feature story that was in the Berea Citizen about riding Benji down to the bottom of the canyon. He's from Tennessee, and I'm from, Berea, Kentucky. We got along.
He's a handsome guy.
And, it was quite the trip, and talks about, getting to know the cowboys. And what is funny is if you look at Mary Startzman's pictures when she went to Zion, she rode the same donkey.
Yeah, but she took pictures of the guy. Did you
He gets
notice that?
around.
Yeah, well, I got some
Cute
pictures of
little
them too.
guy.
They were good looking.
He gets around.
And I write in the article, you don't, they take your picture at the spot, and then you get back, just like Disneyland or the other places, and you get back, and, did I hike over there and pay another $10? Oh, yeah.
Let's see, this one with the nice painted frame, I like that.
This one, this is where I took this is the
Oh, yeah.
and then this, I found the frame at Hobby Lobby. I took there. And it really brings out the cat.
And if people haven't, if anybody hasn't seen the display out by the circulation desk, please stop by. She has some amazing photos. Carol Ann mentioned the pig.
Yes,
The
the
pig is
pig.
just amazing. That's a great one,
And
yeah.
the pig is from, EKU, and I'm sorry that Ed Fredrickson isn't here. He was the one who took me to the farm, and I have the pig, I have sheep, some other
Some chicken.
photos.
Did you get chickens there too, I think? Did you? No?
I don't know, I got
No.
the chickens from Sustainable.
Oh,
Yeah, that's up there. And so, and again, those pictures of the pig and the lambs were surprised, because we got there at 11:30, 12, and I'm thinking, I don't know what we're gonna get, but when the sheep were in the shed, and then the pig was in the shed, in the locked in, it was much easier.
yeah, it does, yeah.
This is Annie, when I had just rescued her, and I printed it on watercolor paper.
She's so
Right there, so, looking so innocent.
Looks to be the same.
So you're welcome to come up to the house, what's that there if you like, and 209 Willow, which is you go up Scaffold King, or you go up 21, you turn across on Brancher, I live on Willow, which is the street that intersects all the streets. So you either come down Byron or Fay, and I'm at the end, and I have yellow flower roses on one side and red roses on Fay, on Byron, and come on into the house.
You're between Byron and Fay?
Yes, on Willow, 209.
Who's next month? Miss Athena? Can you remember who next month?
I'm glad she did that.
Athena, can you remember who next month is?
Yeah.
Next, Mark.